All right, so I am back for video number 2, and Pluto just went retrograde in Capricorn and Uranus just went retrograde in Taurus. And this is a pretty auspicious time. I think that we're gonna see some people really breaking out of their shells in the next 2 months. I think with Pluto going retrograde in Capricorn for the last time in our lifetimes, like this is the finale. This is the finale of everything that you've been working on since 2008. This is kind of the karmic ending. It's the break. So, yeah, I don't ever want to put fear out there, but it's kind of do or die time. This is the time to really step into who you are truly meant to be and to stop limiting yourself, to stop listening to the programming that's been running through in the background for so long. So, I like my computer analogies. We are all a ball of energy, and each morning we wake up with, let's say, 100 units of energy that we get to use that day. 10% is automatically going to go to your body functions, 10% is going to go to your emotional functions, and you got 20% going to your brain. And then, the rest is going to go where it needs to go. It's where you're going to focus your attention. So as energy, our energy can transfer from person to person, and whoever's in your energetic field, and it does not have to be physically. Energy travels through time and space. So I can be connected to somebody 1,000 miles away. I have been connected to people that I've never even met before and have connected to them. So energy travels through time and space. And our soul, our little bundle of energy, is here to meet people, connect, and heal. Heal parts of ourselves, heal wounds from our childhood, heal wounds from past lives. That's what life is about. It's about meeting people, making connections, and healing, and connecting back to self and God, ultimately, right? So I do believe we're gonna see a lot of major things happening over the next 2 months. And if you've been refusing to do the work, if you've been refusing to be aware and self-accountable, I really think that the next year and a half is gonna be difficult for you. And I'm not saying this to scare you, I'm saying this because it's true. Like, the way that we all are evolving, we cannot continue the way that we have been operating. Most of us have been operating very unconsciously. We're not aware of our patterns. We're not aware of how we talk to people, how we treat people, but most importantly, we have not been aware of how we talk and treat ourselves. As little neurons of God, it's most important, it's our sole purpose to take care of self. And, when my friend asked me earlier this week, how did you get grounded? It's because I took care of myself. Because I became very self-aware. I think I always have been, but I became accountable to myself. I became responsible to myself. And that's a big one for me because, when you live with your father and immediately get with a partner when you're 18 that you then spend 20 years with, like, I've always kind of had somebody else to tell me what to do, honestly. And truthfully, I always had somebody else to focus on. And I was not focusing on myself. I was using my finite energy, which is delicious, by the way, but I was using my energy and I was literally pouring it into other people because I could see their wounds, I could see their hurt. And my pattern is based off childhood, based off of old wounds. My pattern was really that I felt like I had to work for love, that I felt like I had to be the emotional support and really suppress everything that I wanted. And that was reiterated by my dad. It was reiterated by my first partner. And this is not to blame them by any means, because truthfully what happened is you sign soul contracts with people. When you're sitting at the table before you come to life, you say, okay, these are the things that I need to heal. These are the things that I need to learn. And members of your soul tribe will come in and say, okay, I will sign up to be the person who teaches you how to stand up for yourself. I will sign up to be the person that teaches you that you are worth more. I will sign up to be the person that teaches you that true love was always inside you and never outside of you, right? So those experiences on this earthly plane can feel very hurtful if you only look at it at this basic level of, you know, that relationship didn't work out, or, you know, whatever it is. Most people take their life experiences and don't really see the bigger picture. They don't really see how what they went through was really there to heal them and to show them that they are worth more. But most importantly, you know, like the worst heartbreak of my life, truthfully, was the best thing that ever happened to me. I've had, you know, a couple pretty bad heartbreaks, but the last one was a doozy. But that, I'm grateful. Like, I'm so thankful that it happened the way that it did, because I found myself, and I found that true love really always is in me, and I found confidence in myself, and I found, you know, just my ability to walk away from situations that don't serve me, despite if I can see why you're doing what you're doing. I am important too, and how people treat me ultimately is a reflection of how I treat myself. So when you become aware of everything, you know, we're all connected and we're all here to serve a purpose and to help each other elevate, heal, grow. One, you kind of stop taking things as personal, because you know that whatever happened for a reason, and it ultimately is going to push you into what's meant for you. And that's really important, you know, and having faith that what you are desiring will happen. Like, all of that is really important. My dog just walked in, so, you know, and I want these conversations to feel like we're friends sitting on the couch. Like, see me cuddled up at home, this is how I am. And I really want it to feel like we're friends chatting on the couch about big life stuff. So when you go through these really traumatic things and you get your heart broken, you feel rejected, you feel abandoned, you feel the shame of how you acted or what you settled for or what you've accepted in your life, you have to go back and look at why. Why did I accept that? Why did I put myself in that situation? Like, what was that there to teach me? And love yourself through it. Give yourself grace through it. You know, I once heard a quote that said that you'll never quit anything that you have shame around. And I think that there's so much truth to that, of you really have to bring love and light to all of these little places and to say, okay, I understand that, you know, me getting into that relationship or me accepting that job that I knew wasn't good enough, whatever it was, it goes back to your self-worth and your expectations for yourself and how you talk to yourself. So when it comes to relationships, I think a lot of people they're not recognizing the mirroring. And, you know, we're pointing our fingers, and they always say, like, when you point one finger, you have three pointing back at yourself, right? There's truth to that. And when you are seeing the flaws in other people, when you are, you know, picking other people apart, judging other people, there's something inside you that does that to yourself, that you don't accept those parts of yourself. And we're all flawed, we're humans. So we have to accept some of it, and we have to bring love to it and say, okay, you know, sister, I understand why you went through that. And that was really hard, you know, and I'm gonna love you through that. And it goes back to that inner child work of, you know, giving yourself what you didn't get as a child, giving yourself the love that you didn't get, giving yourself acceptance that you didn't get, giving yourself the validation that you didn't get. And healing those wounds, recognizing that the parents that you chose, the partners that you chose, were all here to help you learn these lessons, grow, help your soul evolve. And when you understand that, there's no animosity, resentment, there's none of that. Like, I don't talk to my parents, but I love them very much. I want the best for them, but I don't want them in my life because they're not self-aware. They don't hold themselves accountable, and they're not responsible for their actions. So that's not a healthy environment for me. Same thing with friendships or past partners. I really became aware of my pattern. I attracted a very particular kind of person into my life over and over and over again to help me see the pattern and see where, I gotta trust myself that while your words can sound nice, your energy is not. And I can feel it. I can feel your energy radiating off of your body. I can feeling your discontent with yourself, therefore you're discontent with me. When you become very secure with who you are, flaws and all, other people who don't feel that way don't like that. And if they've been in your life for a while and they knew you when you weren't this way, they'll do what they can to bring you back down. And I think that it's really important to become aware of those people. Become aware of the people in your energetic field that are trying to keep you back down. They're affecting your energy. And it's not always something that they're doing, but it's the energetic coding that they have is no longer a match for the energetic coding that you have. It's just not a match. It's not a frequency match. And that song like Match My Freak comes into my head because it's true. Like, you need somebody who matches your frequency on all levels. That's business partnerships, that's relationships, that's friendships. You have to, when you're elevating, right? If your community, your group, your people are not elevating with you, it's not your job to necessarily pull them along. It's your job to say, I know where I'm going. You can come with me or get off the ride, but I am going this way. And you have standards for yourself. You have standards for how you want to be treated, how you want to feel, and you hold those standards. So I think oftentimes people let their feelings of, not feeling good enough or, scared to hurt other people's feelings, for me, it's like stepping into this unknown space. I know where it's gonna go, and that is a little terrifying because I do know where it's gonna go. And, but I've had to cut people off even recently that I knew couldn't go with me, because when I go where I'm going, the jealousy, the discontentment, their insecurities would have been fueled so much stronger, and I would have felt it, and it really would have held me back. There's so much freedom, truly freedom, in cutting people off that are not the right frequency. And you're doing this again with love, but if I have these 100 units of energy a day and I'm giving thought, time, or attention to somebody that's, one, not reciprocating the energy back, or two, just needing too much of it, it's going to deplete me. It's going to slow my computer down. So I think what often happens is we give our time, energy, and attention to these negative things, negative people. And if I'm giving 10% of my energy to a friend and I'm thinking about them and I'm worried about them, I'm giving them my power, and I'm not focusing on myself. And a lot of empaths do that. A lot of empaths focus on everybody else instead of themselves. That's the pattern that they need to break. They have to become accountable to themselves and say, I can love you from a distance, I can support you from a distance, but I'm no longer willing to give you my time, energy, and attention because it's ultimately hurting me. And if loving you hurts me, that's a done deal. Like, I'm never ever doing that again. So for me, the way that I've gotten back to myself is by deleting all the old programming that was installed in me by my parents, by partners, by friends, and saying, no, I get to program myself and I get to be who I want to be. You don't get to tell me who I am. You don't get to tell me who I am. My experience with you does not define me. My experience with you does not define me. What defines me is me. What defines me is my connection with God, truthfully. And all of that is written in your astrology chart, right? So it's there, it's written. You will transcend your own chart. We're not here to be limited by planets. We are here to be expanded by them, which is what's happening now with Pluto transitioning, going retrograde in Capricorn, Uranus going retrograde in Taurus. Uranus is the unexpected. And it's funny, I used to hate my name Marjorie, like absolutely hated it. I tried to change my name to Nicole when I was like in elementary school. Maybe it was Kelly at some point, like I just had absolutely hated my name. And it wasn't until recently that I was like, you know what, I do love my name. And we pick our names, we pick everything about ourselves. We pick our parents, we pick our partners, we pick our bodies, like we pick everything. And I was like, you know what, I do love my name, because when people first hear the name Marjorie, they typically picture an older woman. And this has happened to me so many times in my life. Like if I'm talking to somebody, via email and they know my name, but they haven't seen me or heard my voice or whatever, they anticipating a much older woman coming in. And then I walk in and the face is always like, oh, like that's not what I was expecting. So I love the unexpected. I mean, I picked the unexpected Empress because I am unexpected. It was not expected that I would go down this path. My name is unexpected. I just am very unexpected. I think that, when people meet me, they're like, you're not what I expected. I can be a little rough around the edges, but I'm bubbly and I'm fun, and I'm just different. So I think that's something I've really struggled with my whole life, is being different and trying to fit into what everybody else told me I was. And that was my mistake, because every day, every moment, I joke with people that, right now we're living in basically life anonymous, similar to Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's for life. Like we are literally living in a time where it's moment by moment and learning how to be present, connected to ourselves, connected to our body, connected to spirit, and really seeing where that leads us. Like that's where the magic is. That's in those unexpected moments. So over these next 2 months, we're really gonna see, it could feel like chaos for people. It kind of depends on how you're centered. But there's gonna be upheaval, there's gonna be change. We are moving into a new system. I do predict some fiscal stuff happening. I think financially the things need to change. And I think that we're all becoming well aware of that. The war over religion has gone on for so long that you have to ask yourself why. Like, we always ask, like, why would God let these bad things happen? And maybe God lets the bad things happen so we can see what's really happening. Religion has been used for a very long time to control and divide us. So has a lot of other things. And don't get me started on how I feel about schools, because that's a whole nother thing. But religion has been used to divide us and keep us in fear, and to keep us thinking that our beliefs are the only one. And the truth is, all religions are correct and they all say very similar things. They're all bringing us back to the same God. So we can't keep fighting over this division. Like at some point, collectively, we have to say, enough is enough. Like we really are all one of God, and make major changes so that these kind of things cannot continue to happen. And, I don't have the power to stop a war. I wish I did. I don't have the power to do a lot of things that I wish I did. But I do have the power to control myself. I have the power to control my energy. I have the power to control what I emit and project into the world. And if we all took our power back and said, this is what I am willing to admit into the world, this is the world that I want to see, and stop just accepting what we see as truth, but to use our imagination, to use our connection to source and say, this is what I want to see. And I have faith that what I want to see and what I want to experience exists and is real. And no matter what's happening in your physical world, that exists. So prior to me moving into this house, I lived in a house in a totally different state that I did not love. Never really loved the house, truthfully. I was grateful for it. I enjoyed the experience that I had there, but it was not a house that I felt good in for a variety of reasons. And prior to moving down here, like I had renovated a lot of the house, and I had just finished renovating my master bedroom. And that's when my awakening happened. And when my awakening happened, at that point, all of my CP usage went to healing. Like, I was not able to do, major renovations in the house. I wasn't able to get the house ready for sale. Like, there was just things that I was limited in. And the truth is, I had to accept that. I had to accept I can't do this all on my own. I'm exhausted. I need to focus on my own healing and trust that God will get me out of this house when I need him to. And I told him I wanted it to be easy. I told him I wanted to move to a different state, and I wanted my children's dad to come, even though we're not together anymore. I obviously, wouldn't really want to separate my kids from their dad, despite any of our differences. And that just seemed kind of impossible, right? And if I had listened to everybody else, it would have been impossible. It wouldn't have been the right move. I would have listened to everybody else's programming and limitations over my life. But instead, I chose to have faith, and I chose to believe that God was going to get me out of that situation, and he was going to do it easily. And I had no clue how it would happen. And it took 2 years. Which again, worked out in perfect timing. I was able to heal. I was able to allow my kids to finish up their time at their current schools, get situated, with the time apart, having, parents in 2 houses. They got a lot closer with their grandparents on their dad's side. So there was so much good that came out of that time. But there were days that I was like, how is this gonna happen? I didn't have the money to fix up the house. I did not have the resources in me in any capacity to get me out of that house. And then January 1st of this year, I came back from a visit, and I told my ex-partner, I said, in 6 months, I'm moving. I don't know where, I don't know how it's gonna work out, but I am moving. Like, I'm done. And then in April, I think it was in April, we just had a lot of issues with school stuff with the kids. And again, I said, I am done. And I was able to get an offer on the house, and it was a week that I had literally had the energy to do nothing. And I think it was that Friday we got an offer that was fantastic. We accepted, and it was easy. I didn't have to show the house. I didn't have to fix up the house. I didn't have to do anything. It was easy. And we sold the house, and on May 31st, and moved in 6 months. So I said June 1st, we were moving, and that's exactly what happened. So I believe that the reason why that happened is because I had faith, because I really just gave it all to God and said, I need you to take care of this. Like, this is how I want it to be done. This is what I'm calling in, but I don't know how this is going to happen. I really don't know. How am I going to get my ex to move to a new state? How am I going to make all this happen? And the whole story is, when we moved states, I did not have a lot of money right before that house sale. Like, really didn't. God really scrubbed me of everything. And I can laugh at it now, but it was not fun then. It was hard to go through that. It was hard to figure out, like, how am I going to do this? I don't have the resources right now, but just really having faith that it would be fine. And I knew we were leaving that house on June 3rd. We got an Airbnb for a few days in another city to check that out. And I had 2 weeks of housing for me and my kids. And that's just not normal for me. Like, I like a plan, I like stability. Again, Moon and Taurus, like, I like my security and my comfort. But God was really saying, like, I need you to take this leap of faith with me, and I need you to trust. Like, I can't tell you where you're going, because I need you to learn to trust your intuition. So that's what he did. He said, I need you to learn to trust your intuition. I need you to learn to believe in yourself. And I'm sending you on your way. You will have all the resources you'll need. You'll figure it out. So we had housing through the 15th of June. And that, it felt like the clock was ticking. But truly, we really just enjoyed that time. And again, I just had this such deep level of faith that it's going to be fine. Like, we're going to figure this out. And if A doesn't work, B will work. And if B doesn't work, there's C, D, and E. Like, something will come of this. So when we got to our second location, about an hour north of where we were staying at the Airbnb, me and my kids, all of us got this feeling of, like, this is it. We knew that this was our place. So we settled into the Airbnb, and it was beautiful, and it was really such like a magical experience to have that. And again, something I called in, last year I said, I really just want to have a summer of, checking out places with my kids. So I had already connected with a realtor, and I was really convinced that I was going to rent a house that, again, I wouldn't qualify. I didn't really have, a ton of money. My credit really took a hit going through the divorce, and just when you're not with the right people, like, your finances aren't where they're supposed to be. That's one of the signs. Your finances, your body will give you all kinds of alarms. So again, we got here, and the first full day of being here, I had connected with a realtor. I told her I wanted to rent. She said, why don't you think about buying? And again, I'm like, I don't qualify. But in my heart, I knew that, God would take me wherever I was supposed to go. And I had been telling my kids that God is building the house for us. Like, that I knew for sure. I knew he was building the place for us. I knew he was building the community for us. Like, I knew that he was preparing our place for us. And I really just held steadfast on that. So we got down here, met with a realtor, saw a few neighborhoods, none of it felt right. And then I walked into this home, and instantly I knew, like, this is my house. Still not sure if I would qualify, but I did. And then it was, okay, well, where are you going to live until your house is ready? Like, that's nerve-wracking. You still have 6 weeks. Are you going to pay, $2,000 each week to stay in an Airbnb? Like, no. So I got connected through my realtor, through somebody that she had never even met before, but she had just heard of. And she said, hey, they have a condo that you can rent for the 6 weeks. And so I did. And the funny story about that condo was condo number 208. My birthday is 28. I had an old friend who used to call me Miss 28. And, it's just a significant number for me. So found it ironic that the condo that we ended up staying in, again, being prepared for us, was number 208. The owner of the condo had 3 kids, married to, a black man, 3 biracial children. First one had the same name as my daughter. So I was like, that's weird, right? Like, that can't totally be a coincidence. And then this house, and I can say this because not like anybody knows, but the number of it is 9919. I'm really into gematria. And when you add up all those numbers, it equals 28. So again, just further symbolism that God was building my house for me, and he had it all laid out so that we could have a rest stop at our first city. And even though we knew it wasn't for us, that was a beautiful place to just breathe for a few days. Then we got down here, and we had a beautiful Airbnb that we could stay at for a week to also just fall in love with where we live. And then the condo was another blessing. And then the house, it was like all written. And I could have stressed about it, and I did. I could have worried about it, and I did. But I kept the faith. I knew that God was calling me to move. I knew he was calling me to move, not just for myself, but for my kids, maybe my ex-partner. Like, this is bigger than just me. There's a reason why I'm getting pushed, and I have been pushed in this direction for so long. And, it wasn't an easy move, and a lot of people didn't agree, and a lot of people still might, and that's on them. But I have seen my whole life change. I have seen myself prosper. I've seen my kids prosper. I've seen an unlimited amount of blessings happen since I made that decision. And it was because I followed my gut, because I had faith, because I believed in myself, and because I stopped listening to everybody else. At some point, you have to be responsible for yourself. Be accountable to yourself. what's really standing in the way of you being your authentic self? It's typically a fear of abandonment or rejection, or, you know, some people really feel vulnerability, and that's totally okay. But those are all things that we're here to work on. Like, you deserve to be your most authentic self, living your best life. We all do, no matter what crap you've been through. You do. But there's a reckoning that you have to go through. And, you know, karma is real. And unfortunately, like, I have seen people get handed their karma, and not in a good way, because their heart's intent was not pure. They were doing things to purposely hurt other people, and like, you just can't do that. Like, your heart has to be pure for yourself and for others, and that's when you'll really be able to step into alignment. But if you're still, you know, worried about what Joe Schmo thinks, or worried about hurting somebody's feelings, and you're not being truthful and honest and say, this relationship isn't for me, this job isn't for me, I'm worth more, I deserve better, I need to be responsible for myself, I need to be accountable for myself, I need to love myself, you're not going to progress. Like, those things have to happen. You can't bypass the hard stuff to get to the good stuff. My life has been not easy. You know, I think that people can see blessings coming in and can think that my life has been easy, but it has not. It has been incredibly difficult, incredibly challenging. I've overcame a lot from childhood, friendships, adult relationships, all of it. Way more than like anybody would ever know. But you have two choices. You can let life make you bitter and angry, and then you project that hate onto other people, or you can see the blessing in all of the turmoil and still choose love. And that's just what I did. I chose to love myself. I chose to forgive other people and love them, whether from a distance or not. But I'm thankful. And I think that at some point you have to surrender and fully trust that God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, is you and wants what's best for you and wants you to vibrate higher, because that benefits everybody. We are here to serve a purpose. So you being your authentic self and you having expectations for your life and staying in integrity with that is the ticket. You know, when they talk about breaking out of the matrix, it's not quitting your corporate jobs, although for some people it is. But it's not like everybody can't quit their jobs. We need, we need life to function. It's about breaking out of the limits of your mind and stop putting constraints on what you want. Stop thinking about the how. Stop thinking about all the reasons why what you want is impossible. Because why would God put something on your heart that was impossible? He would never. He is going to drive you in the direction that you need to go, and he's going to squeeze and push and make things very uncomfortable until you say, I got it. I hear you, and I'm going to do the work. Because nobody is getting out of doing the work. You can numb for as long as you need to. But at some point, you're going to have to look yourself in the mirror and say, I have created all of this, the good and the bad. And I have to accept that I created this. And if this is not the vision that I truly wanted, and I was creating from old programming, I'm going to forgive myself and I'm going to start fresh. And every day is a day to start fresh. You have your RAS back here, it's reticular something sensor. I forget what it's called, RAS, and it's in the back of your brain, and it connects your nervous system to your brain, and it's a filter, and it filters out kind of what you're looking for, what frequency you're emitting, what you're telling it you're looking for. So if you're seeking negativity, if you're seeking affirmations for your wounds, if you're seeking affirmations that, if you have these fears of abandonment, rejection, whatever, ultimately your soul is going to pick out people that reaffirm that wound until you say, no, your opinion of me, my experience with you does not define me. I don't have a fear of rejection anymore. I don't have a fear of abandonment, because quite frankly, all of that happened, and I'm still here, and I'm stronger than I ever was before. So I'm not going to fear those things anymore. Like, I can let that go. I can let that go, and I can just be myself. And there's so much beauty in that. And I hope that other people can start letting go of those old stories, those old programs, and say, I'm worthy of being myself. I'm worthy of stepping out, and I know that I'll find the right people. And it doesn't matter if Joe Schmo doesn't like me anymore. It doesn't matter if they talk trash about me. Like, I don't care. You know, I just don't care. Like, I've been through it all. Like, you're not gonna knock me off of where I am meant to go. Like, there's nothing that's gonna stop me. I know that God's driving this train. I know He's with me every single day, and that faith is what propels me forward. That faith is what pushes me. And at some point, again, you have to come to a reckoning with yourself. Am I living the life that I want? Am I living life for everybody else but me? Because when you are living to make everybody else happy, when you're giving everybody else your time, energy, and attention, and you're not focusing on your frequency and what you're admitting, you know, you're just admitting junk. Like, it's not in alignment with who you really are. So every day you have to get clear of, this is who I am. This is what I want to admit. This is what I want to attract. This is who I am. And I know that my energy is good. Like, and I don't mean that, but I just do. Like, after losing myself and then finding myself, it's like never, ever again. And I use this analogy with a friend, and I'm gonna end the video on this analogy, but this is really important to think, that your energy, when mixed with other people's, will be tainted. And if you're a glass of champagne and you're mixing with jungle juice, which is served at frat parties in a trash can, your champagne is then gonna start tasting pretty gross. But that jungle juice is gonna look a whole lot better. So you need to be careful who you're giving energy to, because if you're giving your champagne to jungle juice, you're making him look a lot better or her look better or whatever, and your champagne is getting tainted. And you know, if you mix the best whiskey with Coke, you know, your good whiskey is not gonna taste good, but that Coke might taste a little better. So it's the same thing. Like, when you keep your energy clean and pure, you don't want to mix it with people who will taint it. And it's not about being better than them. It has nothing to do with that. It's about energy. And I protect my energy. I protect my frequency. I protect my peace, because I know that it's important. I know that it's important for myself. I know it's important for how I raise my children. And I know it's important for how I show up and what I'm meant to do. I cannot show up as my best self if I'm still associating with people who don't treat me well, don't honor me, you know, don't appreciate me, or are stealing my energy, my CPUs. I'm just not willing to do it anymore. Despite whatever trauma you went through in your life, like, that's on you. At some point, it's gotta be on other people. Other people will only, you know, they treat you as a reflection of themselves. So if somebody's mistreated you, if somebody's hurt you, somebody didn't pick you, whatever it is, let it go. It had nothing to do with you. It was a reflection of how they could show up for themselves and their experience. And they were here to teach you to love yourself, to pick yourself, and to fully trust that what you want is meant for you. And like, how great is that? Like, I'm so grateful that some things didn't work out for me, because I know what's coming in for me is going to be what I wanted my whole life. And most people told me, especially partners, that what I wanted didn't exist, and that true love isn't real, fairy tales aren't real. And I'm not listening to that anymore. I'm just not. That might not be real for you, but it's very real for me. And I experience love daily. It doesn't always have to come in a romantic relationship. I experience love for myself, through God, through my animals, through my community, through my kids. So it's like, I know that I exist, so I know that there's other people out there that are like me, that believe in true love, that believe in fairy tales. They just have to get rid of all the frogs first. You cannot call in your highest manifestations. You cannot call in your perfect person if you're still not operating in your highest self. Like, I'm so glad I didn't call in my person, a year or two ago, because I was not at my highest self. So now that I am, now that I'm open, now that I've let go of all of that pain, like, I know that my heart has expanded, and that the frequency that I emit will call in the friendships, the partnerships, the business relationships, all the right people for me. I have faith in that. I see it all the time. My little dog Fritz, like, he is a soul partnership. Your animals are soul partnerships. And I knew that he was perfect for me when I met him. Same thing with my first dog, Miko. Second I saw her, I knew. And I've had that experience with men. I've had that experience with friendships where you look at them and you know. And sometimes it's a past life relationship that you are either there to heal or learn from. They're not everybody is here to be forever partners, forever friends, forever family, and that is okay. So learning to let go of the hurt, the pain, and for me, it's, I've told my boss this, like, I keep my swords up, like, I'm always protecting myself, and I'm kind of just tired of that. I don't want to have to protect myself from the world anymore. I want to show up authentically. I want to show up as myself. I want to show up open and honest, and I trust that whatever pain comes my way, whatever stuff gets thrown at me, I can handle. I've handled so much on my own already. I've handled everything with God. Like, I can handle it. I don't have other people influencing me. Like, think for myself. I've mastered my brain. I've mastered my emotions. Like, I know that I can handle whatever's coming my way. And if you grew up with parents that didn't really look out for you, or you had, like, my emotional experience never mattered in my family. So for me, taking ownership over that, of saying, no, my emotional experience very much matters. It's very important to me, and I'm willing to honor it and protect it and trust that the right people, places, and things will come my way. And the truth is, they always have. And I think if you look back on your life and you could see where all the times that God came through and he found you the perfect apartment, the perfect house, the pet, the friend, whatever it was for that moment, God gave you something that you needed. And sometimes you're the something that somebody else needs. And if you're not showing up as your true self, if you're not showing up in your highest alignment, you're not going to be there to serve your people, to be your mission, to do your thing. So the way that I got here was acceptance and love. And I want this for other people. Like, nobody knowing me growing up or a few years ago would have ever thought, myself included, that this is what I would be doing. But I am so passionate about the love that I found for myself through God that I want everybody to feel this. I want everybody to come back into themselves. When I had kids, and you hear this all the time, right? You hear people like, a lot of people have insecurities about themselves, but then when they have kids, they want their kid to look like them and not their partner. And I always found that really strange. Like, obviously people don't really hate themselves if they want their kids to look like them, right? So it's, again, that programming that we're not allowed to outwardly say that we love each other. We're not allowed to have boundaries and standards because we do think that we're worth that. So many people in my life have tried to knock me down to make sure I was not aware of my worth. And they did that because they didn't feel worthy. That was on them. And, they wouldn't compliment me. They wouldn't, just whatever. It was on them. That was on them. them trying to make me feel less than was because they didn't feel good enough. And once I was able to see that, it's like, that's on you. That's not on me. I don't have to own that. So stop owning other people's stuff. Take care of your own CP usage. Get connected. Control, Alt, Delete. See what programs you're running subconsciously that are taking part of your energy. Whatever you don't heal in the spirit will manifest in the body. It just will. So this is a big push for people to clear their spirit, to purify their heart, to really get connected back with self, and to heal and prosper and make the connections that were truly meant for them, that you're calling in, that your heart's magnifying. So again, I hope this video finds you helpful. I do have a lot to share, and sometimes I don't know where to start, and I might talk all over the place, but that's me. And I'm gonna trust that the messages that I have are gonna reach the right people. And you know, I know that there's a lot of people in my life that I've connected with over the last 2.5 years through very serendipitous moments that still watch me and are around. And I know that this is reaching them. And I know that there's a lot of people going through healing, and it's men and women, and people deserve to have a safe space to feel held and loved, and know that God is running through your veins, and you have people that support you and love you and aren't going to compete with you and aren't going to hold you back. And no matter what you choose, we'll love you either way. We'll appreciate you either way. Won't tolerate your crap, but you know, I think it's important to have friends and people in your life that hold you accountable to, can help you hold up that mirror and say, hey, enough is enough. You have some stuff you got to work on. So, you know, happy Labor Day. I hope that this message finds whoever it needs to find. I pray for each and every one of you. One of the things that I do is integrative energy therapy, and it's some of an energy transference, and it's where I am a conduit and I help clear out the blocks that you have throughout your chakra system. And the people that I have done it on have really had great experiences and have seen turnarounds like pretty quickly after that. But clearing your blocked chakras can take time. So whatever you're going through right now, be patient with yourself. Love yourself, but be accountable and responsible to yourself too. Stop gaslighting your own experience, and you know, stop making it seem like you're in a better place than you are, because that's part of the problem. When people aren't truthful of saying, I'm at rock bottom and I got myself here. You got to be truthful about that, because again, you created your life. And at some point you have to say, what I've created is trash and I need to start again. And that's okay. And it's okay to start with a blank canvas, and it's okay to start new. And every single day you're going to show up, and you're going to show up for yourself, and you're going to show up for your loved ones, because the best thing that you can do for the people in your environment is love yourself, take care of yourself, and then everything else will fall into place. So I hope this video finds you. I will do more of these. I know this one was a little bit longer, but in all honesty, I had started quite a few times and didn't like it, and don't even know if I like this one, but I think it's important just to be myself. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, see ya.